And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty smooth.
Just to make sure that everybody is aware, I would not be happy if that's what they did, but I see them doing that.
Because I want them to be like, okay, it's coming out a week from today. Go back and play the game, because that's what I want to do. I want to spend that week.
You can just call me Bobby for now.
This episode of the NerdNest podcast is brought to you by Sihoo. I spend way too much time here at this desk making videos for my YouTube channel. The chair that I'm using at my desk right now is the Sihoo Doro C300 Pro. It has a spacious seat for all-day comfort and what they call self-adaptive lumbar support. This is so much better than leather gaming chairs, which always tend to make me all sweaty. Because this has a mesh design, I'm always at the perfect temperature, and the big waterfall-shaped cushion is really soft. It has weight sensing mechanisms that gives you the perfect amount of support. But you can also control how the chair works with a single handle on the right-hand side. Other chairs have one handle for lift, a second one for tilt, and then a third one for seat position, and I'm always looking for which handle I'm supposed to use in the right moment. This three-way handle lets you do all of that with just one control. The flexible backrest of the chair can be adjusted vertically as well, so you can get the chair dialed in for what you want out of it. And the armrests can move in 6 different directions, so you can place them exactly where it works for you, and they move with the back of the chair. Whether you're spending hours working on TPS reports for your boss, or taking out the next boss in Elden Ring, or maybe you're just editing a video like me, you want to be comfortable. And that's when you want a Sihoo, to restore health and rediscover comfort. And if you want to save 6% off on your Sihoo chair, use the code YT6OFF at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. I'm your host, Bill Fairchild. I'm joined today by Russ Crandall. How's it going, Russ?
Good. Happy Friday. Also, we're recording this on Halloween, so happy Halloween.
Ooh,
you guys got big Halloween plans?
I don't, because I'm old and my son was just up here. He showed off his outfit to Rudy and then jetted out of here because he's going trick-or-treating. But my wife and I are just going to chill at home, I think. Maybe we'll watch a scary movie.
Cool.
What about you, Rudy?
I am totally going trick-or-treating. My wife and I, we're going as the mime outfits from Expedition 33. So we have like the whole dress and get up.
That's cool.
And my son is going as Lucas from Mother 3.
Oh, wow. Very cool. That's
Good
awesome.
mix.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting mix.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, that's strange because one of you could have been Ness, and then the other one, I don't remember. There's Ness, Lucas, and who's the other one?
Ninten is the one from the original Mother.
Oh, okay. Ninten, and then there's a dog. Do you guys have a dog?
No, we don't. But that would have been awesome to actually have a dog as well.
Yeah, that would have been. What's your favorite food? You could tell I've started that game a lot. I've never finished it, though.
It's very obtuse, to put it simply.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I did not introduce the guy that you're hearing talking right now, and that's Rudy, or a.k.a. Baldly Rudy. He's been on the show. This is, I think, his 3rd time being on the show. Baldly. Rudy, how's it going, man?
You can just call me Baldy for now.
I didn't say Baldy. I said Baldly.
It's okay.
So how's it going, man?
Oh, dude, I'm good. I'm great. I'm on cloud 9. Like it's busy season right now for my day job. So I've been like trying to struggle with playing games, creating content, as well as staying caffeinated, staying awake. But today is a day where we just load up on sugar, load up on carbs, and just have a good time.
There you go. Sounds fun. All right. Speaking of fun, we got a lot of video games to talk about, and then later on we'll probably play a little game called Underrated, Overrated. If you are curious, how is it that we send these things in? Pay attention later in the show. I'll tell you all about it. Let's start off with some more leaks from Valve. Specifically, it looks like we've got like this little tiny graphic that's been added to Steam's the new Steam backend update, and it was data mined out by Brad Lynch, and it shows what everybody knows is Project Ibex. This is what Project Ibex actually looks like, according to the files that have been data mined already. We've got basically a Steam Deck with the screen cut out and then the two sides slapped together and then put at more of an angle. I think this looks awesome. And then now they're showing the little Ibex thing that you would see when you connect this particular controller to Steam. It's going to show up like this is the controller that you have connected. And I mean, I have been asking for a Steam controller too for ages and ages and ages. It's like the Steam controller is one of my favorite controllers of all time. Rudy, what do you think about have you ever used the original Steam controller?
Negative, my friend. I have not. So this would be a prime time for me to jump in if this actually comes out and is getting released, because I've heard nothing but positive things. It's a little bit of a learning curve from what I know. But have you guys, I know Bill, obviously, but Russ, did you ever have one? No,
I never tried it. Yeah, I'm interested. The design is like kind of different because it looks like it's, the original Steam controller was very touchpad centric, right? Like that's all you had, This one seems to be the opposite, where they put them down below. If you look at that graphic again, I don't know. It looks a little bit different. Like it looks like a secondary input as opposed to a primary input.
Yeah, it looks like a Steam Deck. So if you like the layout of the Steam Deck, I think that people are going to be happy with it. I played the hell out of tons of games using the Steam controller, games that didn't even support mouse and keyboard. Like I used to play Guild Wars 2, which is a mouse and keyboard game, no controller support at all, and I would play it using the Steam controller. The weird thing about the Steam controller is you had to hold it different than other controllers because of its shape. It was almost like instead of holding it from the sides, your hands would tilt out and hold it from underneath, which was really strange. But once you got used to using those trackpads, man, it just felt like I played all of Doom 2016 using that controller. Doom 2016 thought I was using a mouse and keyboard, and I was just like, it's so nice because you had the trackpads there. You could swipe real fast to spin around, and then you could dial in your aiming really, really well with gyro, although I know Russ doesn't like gyro. Like, as somebody who was a huge fan of the first Steam controller, even though I felt like it was kind of cheap and low build quality, I cannot wait to get my hands on this thing. Because when you look at the Steam Deck and you get used to playing that as like your primary device or whatever, and then you dock it, suddenly you don't have all of the inputs that you had before, and it always feels like it's a worse experience. You ever run into that, Rudy, where you're playing and you're like, I'm going to dock this, and then you're like, I don't have that one button that I wanted before?
All the time, man. Like sometimes I'll like swap from one handheld to another, and it completely changes the feel, the ergonomics, like everything. And even to this day, like I still think that like the Steam Deck is one of the most comfortable handhelds out there by far. I think the Xbox Ally X and Ally, they're kind of up there, but as far as like the execution, it's not the most elegant out of all of them. Like I think the way that Steam Deck did it is by far the most elegant. But yeah, it definitely happens, especially like, so if I am playing on my PC here, I play with this guy. This is the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 controller. Dude, this thing is absolutely fantastic. I have loved this since the first iteration, and primarily because of the D-pad. I like fighting games, and that's my go-to D-pad whenever I'm playing games on my PC. But switching from a handheld to that is, it takes a little bit of an adjustment, but overall, it's not too bad.
Do you use the trackpads very much on the Steam Deck?
Negative. That is one thing that I get shunned every time that I mention it online. People are like, you should use it. And I'm like, it doesn't click for me personally. But I do know that it is versatile and you can adjust it to do all sorts of things.
What about you, Russ? I know that you don't like gyro, but do you use the trackpads very much on your Steam Deck?
I don't. It's I gave it a college try in the beginning, and then I just kind of gave up. The thing with gyro is it breaks my brain because I play inverted, and then then gyro naturally I want to use regular, and so it just like it just breaks everything in my head. And so I can't really use it that well. But then, yeah, with the trackpads, I gotta mess with the sensitivity more. I've always felt like my hammy thumbs just don't do a very good job with that. The issue is, and it's been this way forever, I'm left-handed as well. And so most of the time I want to use the right trackpad, but that's like my crappy thumb. And so even when playing first-person shooter games, like I'm not great with the right thumbstick either. I generally maneuver to the enemy as opposed to aim at the enemy. And that's just how I do it because my left stick is just so much more predominant. And so I'm just not the right player in terms of playing inverted and being left-handed. Like it's always been an uphill road for me.
That's fair. I think that like for both of you who don't really use the trackpads, does that make you less interested in the Steam controller too? Because it does have those trackpads. Although they do. I mean, Rudy's right. They are pretty ignorable on this. Like you don't have to use them. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah, I just want to try it out because I want to see what Valve does. You know what I mean? Like it's just another controller to try out, and they usually are thoughtful in all of their releases. And so that part of me just wants to try it out. But yeah, who knows? I mean, there are so many good controllers nowadays. It's like I have a hard time even making a controller review because I'm like, this one is great, but here's also 20 minutes of me saying all the other ones that are also great just to be kind of balanced, you know? And so Valve will really have to do something kind of crazy to make it stand out. And that's kind of the thing that interests me is that they might do that.
I think the craziest thing about Valve's controllers, the Steam controller one, and then this Project Ibex, I mean, having not touched the Ibex one, but is just Steam input. And Steam input works on every controller pretty much. Like you can do almost everything that you can without those trackpads on a regular controller if you know how to use Steam input. So like you can bring up radial menus and all that stuff. And when I look at Ibex, when I look at it, I think those trackpads are really good for menus and things like that, but they don't look like they're in the right spot to use as your primary input, like on the original Steam controller, which is kind of what Rudy was saying earlier. Rudy, what do you think about you're not a trackpad guy. Does that tarnish your interest in this at all?
No, I'm always curious. I'm a curious guy. That's you can coin that if you want to. But I am a very curious, and I'm always trying to figure out, what is out there. And because, you can look at pictures, you can look at photos, you can look at everything. You can listen to reviews and everything like that, but nothing is going to replace a firsthand real world experience with actually having it in your hands and seeing how it actually feels. And I think using the 8BitDo or 8BitDo controller as like an example, that's one that I was like, it's a third-party controller, not a big deal. I'll try it out from Amazon, paid like, I don't know, like $60-$80, whatever for it. And then I ended up loving it. And that was not based on looks. That was just on feel, because looks wise, it's nice, but it's not the prettiest out of all of them. Like technically, you can go with an Xbox Elite controller and that looks beautiful, or the Elite 2. But that's just something that fit right in my hands and felt good. So I'm not writing it off just because I don't use trackpads. And who knows? I mean, I'm right-handed. I might end up loving it. And then all of a sudden, I'm just going to use that as my main go-to. Who knows? I can't say until it's in my hands.
So here's what I want from this controller. Number one, obviously, I want it to have every input that is on the Steam Deck. It looks like it does, but we haven't seen the backside. I assume that it has 4 paddles on the back. Number two, I hope that it has capacitive thumbsticks, just like on the Steam Deck, because that makes gyros so much better. But number three, I wanted to add something that was not in the original Steam controller and was not on the Steam Deck. And that is something that your 8BitDo controller that you were just holding up, and that is the dock, where you could just drop the controller into the dock and it charges, and I never have to think about batteries again. Taking batteries out of the original Steam controller was like a nightmare. So you had to like take the back panel off, which was super easy. But then you had like these buttons that you had to push, and if you didn't push them the exact right direction, you felt like you had to really squeeze them, and then suddenly the battery would shoot out of the side, and you're like, oh my God, it was terrible. I never want to open it up and put batteries in it. I just want to drop it into a dock and then never have to think about it being charged again. Russ, do you like the docks that are with yours, or do you worry about them being plugged in all the time and ruining the batteries that are in them?
So this is the kind of thing that I think Valve would be thoughtful about, right? That they would have some sort of thing where it's like it hits a certain threshold, or maybe it knows that you haven't played in a while and it drops it down to 80%. It just keeps it there. Like, I feel like Valve are the kind of people that will think through this stuff. So I'm not worried about the leaving it on the dock kind of thing. And I do that with several of mine. You know, the big thing that I want, and let me grab it.
Suspense.
Color options. So I want color options. You know what I mean? Like, this is my 8-bit Ultimate 2, the one I use, because I love this yellow color, right? And it's got the kind of gray buttons to it. And so that's what I would love to see as well, is maybe like a white limited edition one, in addition to like your kind of, you know, Valve typical black and gray kind of coloring that we see on the Steam Deck. And so, yeah, that's what I would want to see, is different color options. I've got another one that's really cool over there. I don't want to walk all the way over there, but I've got the 8-bit Do Pro 3. That's the one that kind of looks like a PlayStation controller, but I have an orange one of it. I showed it in one of my videos the other day, and it's cool looking, you know. And so I like the bold kind of colors with it and the other options. So yeah, not worried about the dock thing, but I do want to see extra colors.
One other thing that I want them to add to it, trigger stops. I've been seeing trigger stops on a bunch of stuff lately. I want trigger stops. I wish the Steam Deck had trigger stops. Like before we started recording, Rudy and I were talking about the Legion Go S.
Yeah.
Right? That's the name, right?
Too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yes. Trigger stops are just so freaking cool. I want them on everything. Every single device. Rudy, if there's one thing that you absolutely got to have on this controller, what would it be?
Well, I mean, now you sold me on a dock, man. Like, that's kind of what I want now. Because, I mean, you were telling me about the whole, like, original, like, actual controller that Valve had. And I couldn't help but think, like, you just, you know, you try to get the batteries out the wrong way. You get a black eye, you go to work, and you're just like, what happened, man? Like, who knocked you out? Do I have to talk to somebody? It's like, no, it was my Steam controller. Like, don't worry about it. It's okay. But yeah, no, I honestly think, like, a dock would make sense. Especially, you know, that could naturally be a part of the, I guess you might be able to call it a Steam Deck ecosystem, because you have everything docked there. It connects, upscales to 1080, and then, yeah, you just go ahead and connect the dock and boom. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now with my controller. I think that would be pretty nice. And inevitably, hopefully, soon we'll get a Steam Deck 2, you know, in a couple of years. Maybe that's the next big project that's there, and that would just be a nice way to like integrate everything into the living room. But you know, that's just me being hopeful and always looking at the most positive outlook on things.
That's fair. Speaking of looking at the positive outlook on things, I think, listen, I know that we've heard rumor after rumor after rumor about Half-Life 3, and every time I stop thinking about it, bam, another rumor shows up that says something about Half-Life 3's on its way, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe. But this was posted over at Insider Gaming. I'm going to try and put it on the screen here. And basically, oops, I didn't click on, there we go. It says Half-Life 3 trailer rumored to be in production at this point. Basically, Tyler McVicker, who is a Valve leaker, essentially, he said he was looking at the latest HLX files. HLX is what everybody's assuming is the next Half-Life game. Maybe it's Half-Life 3. Maybe it's Half-Life Alyx 2. We really don't know. He says that the current rumor that's going around is that work on the trailer is occurring. And then this is the trailers. Oh, wait. And he says that Valve's approach to trailers is very different from publicly owned AAA studios' approach. Listen, I understand that people are like, you know, you can only pull the rug out from under us so many times. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So shame on me, because I cannot wait to play Half-Life 3. And if they are actually working on it and they're making a trailer, that means it could be soon and could be a perfect launch game for Fremont or the Steam Deck 2 or whatever. Rudy, you played Half-Life 1 and 2?
Played, bro. Like I devoured those games through and through.
So good.
So much that like when that RTX fan made mod came out, I was like, yes, please, let's try this out on anything and everything.
What's that called? It's Black Mesa.
Black Mesa. Well, that's one of them. But then for Half-Life 2, there was an RTX with 5,000 GPUs. They were showcasing that in their trailers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so you can download it and you can play, I think, a portion of 2 episodes, if I remember correctly. And I was running that on, God, I forgot. I think it's the G358L from Asus that has like a top of the line Intel chip and the NVIDIA 5090 built in. Ran pretty smoothly. I was kind of impressed. But yeah, I love it, man. I have the orange box, there. I own it on Steam for PS3. I also own it. I also have the original Half-Life on PlayStation 2. It runs like shit, but man, did I love it growing up. It was so much fun. Now, I agree with you, though. Fool me once, fool me twice, because we've been hearing about Half-Life 3 forever. It's like this generation's Duke Nukem Forever. Who knows when that's going to come out. So I'm not holding my breath. That being said, I was in the Discord that I'm in. Jeff Keighley said something underneath that tweet from Insider Gaming, where it was like, "Hey, like don't look too much. There might be a surprise over at one of the events that are coming up." So I don't know. I'm trying to find it, and I can't see it. But that was like one of the things that like got me like, oh, okay. So we shall see. I don't know. I'm holding my breath or not holding my breath. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens.
What about you, Russ? Have you played the Half-Life and Half-Life 2 games and the extra one, the episodes as well?
Yeah, I played through Half-Life 1. It's like one of the few games I actually finished with a keyboard and mouse back in the day. And then Half-Life 2, I only played with the orange box, so 2007 or so when that came out, 2006 maybe, on the Xbox 360. So I played Half-Life 2, and it came with the 2 episodes. And yeah, it's big cliffhanger at the end of episode 2. And naive me at the time was like, oh, I'll wait a year or so, and then we'll play Half-Life 3. And it's a really cool stepping stone. And here we are, 20 years later. The big thing for me with that is that in that particular article that you mentioned, the guy says, they probably wouldn't do a teaser or trailer and then launch it a year from now. They would probably have a short window, and I hope it's at least a week. Playing Half-Life 2 and the 2 episodes and just being right fresh into it, I'd love for it to be like, hey, here is a trailer for Half-Life 3. By the way, we also redid Half-Life 2 and the 2 episodes, and that's available right now as a free in-app purchase or whatever. And now you got a week, basically, to play that before that's like, I'm just pie in the sky at this point, but that's what I want to see, right? Is like, redo the games so I can play them in the most optimal way possible right now, and then have Half-Life 3 ready when I'm ready. That's like kind of the perfect moment for me.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because when you look at first-person shooters back in the day compared to today, shooters today are much, much slower. Like back in the day, when you played Half-Life and Half-Life 2, you moved incredibly fast compared to how fast you move when you play modern shooters. Would you want it to still feel like that boomer shooter, super quick movements, or would you want it to feel more modern? Because I have when I built my Steam box, and one of the first things I did was I loaded up Half-Life 2 so I could play through it again, because I absolutely I played through every bit of Half-Life I could except for Half-Life Alyx, mostly because I don't like VR very much. Or I haven't really loved VR, I guess is what I would say. So when I played that, I got sick to my stomach because of the motion. Like, just the motion was so intense that I started to feel sick. I played for probably 2 hours, and I was like, whoa, I have got to stop. I can't play it anymore. And like, when I was younger, I could go on rides and stuff. I can't go on rides anymore. I get sick to my stomach. I get car sick now. But like playing that game, I felt a little queasy, and I was like, well, if they ever make Half-Life 3, I kind of hope it's not nearly as fast, because that fast movement is what I think was giving me, that nausea. Rudy, would you want to have it be like the original, or would you want to have it be more modern?
Okay, I have a confession to make, guys.
Yeah.
I haven't played a shooter like like COD, Battlefield, none of that stuff in like forever. I think the last time that I played, I probably like was trying to pretend I wasn't going bald, but it was in like that partial phase where it was embarrassing, and then I finally decided to shave. So I think that the last game that I did play that was a shooter was Doom, like Doom: The Dark Ages. But that's quick. That's like that's a boomer shooter. So I do want to say that this is Valve. I would expect them. I know that it's not good to expect or assume anything, but I would expect for them to say, "Hey, we're going to allow you to control the strength of your X and Y axis when you're playing this game, and adjust the experience accordingly." Obviously, that takes so many like design and development ideas, and you're gonna have to kind of like shift to and from in order to make it work. But I do think that they would take that into account to put that into the system for accessibility purposes.
You know what occurs to me though is I played Doom: The Dark Ages, which you're right is a very fast game. It's a boomer shooter. I didn't have any problems at all. So I don't know why I felt sick when I was playing Half-Life 2 on my computer. The first time that I played it was on the Xbox 360 with the orange box. So I don't know. Russ, would you want it to be fast or modern?
Yeah, I think that we've seen a lot of advancements in like motion blur and auto aim and stuff like that, to the point where it's just kind of intuitive for us nowadays. And I don't think Half-Life 2 did a great job with any of that stuff. Like it felt, like even on the Xbox 360, it felt like I was playing a PC game where the map, like the mouse inputs were tied to a controller. So it kind of felt like, and if you play any of those older games like that, where it's initially made for a mouse and keyboard, and then you try to play on a keyboard, it feels a little bit off. So I think that, I would like to have an improvement on that. Ideally, for me, I wanted to play like Destiny. Like that's like the perfect feel for me, but that's just my game, right? But
it's very slow.
But I feel like, so Doom is a great parallel, because Doom 1 and Doom Eternal don't have a sprint button, right? You just kind of go, and that's a fast, frenetic game. Doom: The Dark Ages, for me, was a good balance, because it's still fast and frenetic. You can still kind of move easily, but there's also a sprint button if you want to go even more. And so I feel like that is the ideal setup, actually, is Doom: The Dark Ages. Before you guys even brought it up, that was the game I was thinking. I was like, okay, if it played like that game, that would probably feel about right.
Yeah, I think that would be a good balance between modern and the old style. There's going to be a bunch of people who are like, no, it's got to be exactly like it was. If it doesn't, like if Carrie was here, Carrie would be like, it must feel like Half-Life. Right. And he's not wrong. It should feel like Half-Life.
My argument with that was like, if you try to play Half-Life 2 now, even with a controller, it is rough. When you have to stack like your crates, like it's because the aiming is just kind of so sensitive and kind of off, it's really hard to do that stuff. That's part of the fun of it, is like, it really felt like it's a reminder that it's a computer game. That's what I used to feel, is like, oh yeah, this is a computer game, but I would like that to be a little bit more natural feeling, a little bit more satisfying, because it was often, I would be frustrated with the puzzle where I would say, I need to do this, but the mechanic of it would take me longer to actually do than I wanted, because it was a little bit off.
Wow.
And that because you were playing on controller, right?
Yeah, I was playing on a controller. I was playing on 360.
I did not have that experience at all, man. Like I went through it and I just played through it, and I was like, okay, this is how the game works. I'm just gonna play it as is and just run through. But like my first experience was on the PlayStation 3 with the orange box for Half-Life episode, or Half-Life 2 episode 1 and 2 is I think that's the correct way of saying it.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, okay, this is how it runs, this is how it plays, and I'm just gonna like let it be. Mind you, I was coming from like what was big at the time, like I don't know, Uncharted. Like I'm looking at my games right now. There was like Heavenly Sword, Folklore. Resistance was like a big one. Obviously, Dead Space was there. Crisis could actually run on a PS3, which was impressive. So stuff like that, there's all sorts of things that I like looked at. But yeah, no, Half-Life, I just played it. It was just fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say, because I also played it on controller on my Xbox 360. It was actually, that was the game that convinced me that it was okay to play shooters on a controller. Because up until then, I would only play shooters on mouse and keyboard. This was back before I busted my elbow, and I can't do it anymore. But when I would only play shooters on a mouse and keyboard. That was my main way to game. And then I would sit down at a console to play more console style games. And then when Orange Box came out, I can't remember if I bought it for myself or somebody got it for me for Christmas. Because if I had bought it for myself, I probably would have bought it on PC, because my brain would have said, I got to have mouse and keyboard. It's a shooter. But then when I got it and I was playing it, I was like, after a while, I got used to it really quickly. And Orange Box was such a freaking steal because it had Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal 1? Portal 1, all on the same freaking disc. It's crazy. What a steal that absolutely was. And I still own all of them on PC.
So I just looked up the dates, and so I think the timing wise for me, what happened was that I played BioShock right before it. That one came out in August, and then Half-Life 2 or Orange Box came out in October of 2007. So there's a 2-month gap. So I think what I did is I probably lived in BioShock, because I remember picking that up day one. That was like a huge deal for me. So playing through all of that, and then moving, and that's a very floaty kind of soft feeling game, if I could describe it that way. And then jumping into Half-Life, I think that's what it was. It was a hard transition. So just, thinking of my 2007 brain, where I was like you, I was kind of acclimating to controller first-person shooters at that time. I remember before that, I had played Half-Life or Halo 1 and 2 via Xbox 360, because I think you could put the discs in and still play it. And so I remember that time, being able to play those games, then going to BioShock, then Half-Life 2, and that might have been why it was so jarring. I really need to play it over again and see kind of how it is. Half-Life 2 is one of those, I start it all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get fresh on this. I'm going to get it. And I never get past the sewer when you're on the watercraft. Yeah. Once I get to that point, I'm just like, oh, okay, what else do I got?
You're like, no more. Let me get Destiny up and running again.
Right.
Then I can jump 3 times.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. And Microsoft, this was posted over on Windows Central by Jez Corden. Apparently Microsoft's plan, I don't know that I believe it. It says Microsoft's ambitious new Xbox, your entire Xbox console library, which seems like, when you say that screams to me Xbox 360, Xbox One and Xbox Series you don't really have to worry about, but the whole library and a Windows PC without a multiplayer paywall, which was introduced originally by Microsoft. That sounds really good. Now, we know that Sarah Bond has said that this is going to be a premium experience. It's going to be pretty expensive, whatever this next Xbox is. And Phil Spencer has said, what we've seen with the Xbox what the hell is it called again?
The Xbox full screen experience?
Full screen, thank you. The full screen experience, that's what we should expect from the next Xbox. I think it's clear that the next Xbox is just a PC. And you cannot sell a PC that requires you to pay online to play online, because people just won't do it. We would just not use it. We would just buy everything off Steam anyway. So for them to do that seems to me like they got to get the emulation right, and they got to go hire somebody who made a good emulator. Russ, you know anybody that made a good emulator?
So
I saw your hand up there.
Yeah. So the thing is that I did this research when I was doing the Xbox Ally review. It's not research. I went to their website and I looked at how many games they have available, right?
Guys,
so
he's a researcher.
Yeah, exactly. This is a deep dive, peer-reviewed paper here. But 14,910 games are available on the Xbox platforms, just writ large. That includes console and PC games. If you click on the list for PC games, it goes down to 3,948. So there are 10,000 games accessible console-wise between Xbox Series, Xbox One, and then Xbox 360 that are at least backwards compatible according to Xbox and at least purchasable on their website. So that's a huge margin. We're talking about 4,000 games that you can probably already play on Steam versus 10,000 games that are not accessible otherwise. And so that's the big thing for me. If they get this down, and I'm hoping they've been working on this, and they've kind of hinted at it previously, they're like, oh yes, we're definitely working on this backwards compatibility thing. You know, they mentioned that when they first launched the Xbox LAX, when they first revealed it. So yes, if they do that, then I'm kind of in it. Like, I still would buy that console because we don't have anything like that, a hybrid where we can still play our console games. Now, if they just make this available across PC, where you can just do this, you know, with your Xbox account, like through the Xbox app on any PC, I don't know if I would buy the console at that point. I think I would just use the computer I already have. So really interesting and kind of compelling thing if they're going to paywall that. By paywall, I mean hide it behind that console, that next series console, or if they're just going to open it up and be like, you know what, you got a PC, you want to play your Xbox 360 game on it, you want to pay us $20 for that, go ahead. Like, that's what I want to see. Because I got a huge digital library, you know, Xbox One, Xbox 360 and stuff. So I would love all that.
I think so. Here's what they do: instead of locking it behind the system, because I can understand why somebody would be like, I can totally understand why Russ or Rudy or myself would not be interested in buying an Xbox if it's just a PC, because we already have a PC. But there's a lot of people who don't have a PC; they are console gamers. And when the next Xbox comes out, maybe they're going to buy it because they bought the last Xbox, especially if they're Game Pass subscribers. Maybe they didn't get shaken off by that by that 50% price hike on Game Pass. This thing comes out, they buy it, and it has all of those games with it. That sounds awesome. And that's why you still want to sell that hardware. But for Rudy and Russ and me, who have PCs and we can just do it through PC, then what they would do, and God, people are going to be mad at me for even suggesting this, is they would have that emulation stuff as part of Game Pass. So when you subscribe to Game Pass, it brings in this emulator that allows you to play Xbox games that you might already own. Do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like the worst version of the virtual console. That not only do you buy the game, but you're also paying for it too monthly. Like monthly access to something you already paid for. That's the worst. Yeah, and I can totally see it happening.
God. Dude, you were explaining that, and I'm just thinking NSO 100%, just Xbox flavor. That's it, 100%.
Yeah. But you also got to buy the game. That's the crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's even worse. If like, so for example, you know, I bought the digital version of BioShock for Xbox 360, whatever. I want to just be able to access that, and having to then also pay for that access that I already paid for, like, that would just rub me the wrong way. Now, if they just made it all free as part of your Game Pass, then okay, I can see that being like a real NSO kind of situation, you know. But for me, ideally, I wouldn't have to pay extra for the games that I already bought.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, that's one thing that I like. You're talking to me and I'm like listening to this and I'm trying to like think of it from the consumer's perspective of being like, okay, I'm going to go to Target, Best Buy, whatever. I'm going to buy the next Xbox. And then I look at it and, you know, speculatively, I'm just talking that if they go with the X and the S line, there's a $200 difference or $250 difference between the two of them. I'm going to go with the most expensive one because I want the best, latest, and greatest. And then I come home, I'm an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. And then all of a sudden I boot in and I get the Xbox full screen experience. And then slowly but surely it comes to mind that this is basically a Windows PC because I deal with these issues at work, or IT talks to me about all this stuff at my day job. So I think, oh man, that's a hell of an idea that you gave, Bill, but I also feel like that is like the worst case scenario for a consumer.
I don't think it's a good idea. I was just saying what I think that they would do. I'm not advocating. Listen,
Please don't.
You know, just to make sure that everybody is aware, I would not be happy if that's what they did. But I see them doing that because, you know, what's his face told Xbox that they got to hit 30% profit margins.
Right.
Or what's her face? I can't remember her name.
Sarah Bond?
But no, up above Sarah Bond. At Microsoft, not at Xbox. Amy something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
names,
forgot.
it's all good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is.
You just know Xbox.
A C-suite executive said you got to hit 30% profit margins, which is bananas. That's hard to do. Anyway,
especially if you're used to subsidizing too, right?
Right.
Well, I think the days of that are over.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like they could market this correctly and be like, listen, our next Xbox isn't just an Xbox. And just kind of go from there, right? Be like, listen, all the console stuff for the next generation that you're expecting, all that's there, but also it's a PC. You can put Steam on it. Like that's kind of where they have to put it, you know, where it's like, listen, this will not only take over your Xbox experience, but this can potentially replace like your PC experience too. And I think if they market it that way, console first, but also happens to do this other stuff, that's great. If they start saying our new Xbox is a PC and you can play your Xbox games on it, then I think they're going to lose kind of a wider audience who already have a PC, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of the way I'm seeing it, is they still have to be very console focused.
I can already see the box. It says Xbox, access to 100,000 games.
Right.
And they're not saying where those games are.
Yeah.
They're just saying that with this device, you could play 100,000 different games. Most of them are on Steam.
Right.
That's so crazy because like I'm thinking about it, and if they take the approach that Valve took, it just being like, hey, this is Steam OS, this is Xbox OS, you can go ahead and play this, and yada 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 yada, and kind of like what they did with the Ally and Ally X, where you have like a Windows mode that you can go into if you want to, but you don't have to. The problem right now is that if you want to update, if you want to go ahead and do things that require getting new drivers or whatever it may be, you might need to go into Windows mode. And that's the problem, is that completely breaks the user experience. If they were able to do everything from the Xbox full screen experience, then all of a sudden you have a seamless experience that the average user that is a console user, like they don't want to deal with Windows. They just want something where it's like, oh, I have an update, boom, it downloads, installs, great. One of the things, Russ, I wish you were there in New York, by the way, because there were so many questions that like we were asking, and I was like, dude, this is phenomenal. One of the questions that I asked like the Xbox exec was like, hey, like, so is, quick resume coming to this thing? Is are we going to have like features that are parallel to what we see on Xbox? And she literally just straight up was just like, no comment. No comment on anything. And I was like, okay. All right.
I mean,
do you just hope?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but it's the full screen experience just feels like it was launched too early, like it's just not ready. And yeah, hopefully we're just the beta testers for now. And by the time this console rolls out, it'll work great, not only on this new Xbox, but on our ROG Ally X's as well.
Yeah. Although I just for full, in full fairness to Microsoft, when the Steam Deck launched, Steam OS was very much in beta. Like that was
100%.
I mean, it was very good, but still there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed, and the pace at which Valve updated it once they got it in lots of people's hands was pretty breakneck. Once a lot of people have the Xbox Ally or the Xbox Ally X, and then they can get those bug reports and things like that and see how people are using it, then they can start to really tackle it. I don't fault them for launching it like it is the way it is now, because it is pretty good. It's not what I want, but it's pretty good, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but we're also talking about a multi-trillion-dollar company who probably could have afforded to test it a little bit more, And I think what the Valve had going for them is that they slow rolled the Steam Deck launch because they're just not a big company. They can't put it all in Best Buy and be like, all right, go grab it, right? So they're just trickling out those first releases. And, I don't think I even got mine till May, even though we started shipping in February or something like that. So there was kind of a long trickle. And I think it took me 15 minutes to make my pre-order. So in that 15-minute window, that's kind of how things rolled, right? So that was actually really smart, because then like the diehards who got there in minute one, they did all that beta testing, right? That makes sense. But to put it in stores in that state for me was just kind of crazy from this company that's so big, right? I think it probably was just internal deadlines and be like, we have to meet this date, and working with Asus and whatnot, they probably agreed on a date, and then they realized, oh crap, like we're not going to get there, in terms of making this software as viable as we would like. And so yeah, I can't fault them for that, because I think there were probably a lot of factors going on there, rushing before any sort of tariff update and all that. Like there's so many factors they probably had to consider. So I get that, but it's still, man, I reviewed mine, I don't know, like a week and a half ago. I haven't touched it since. I'm still supposed to review the regular Ally, the white one. I turned it on. I ran the Windows updates. I haven't touched it, man.
You ran the Windows updates and you got yourself a snack and a beverage, and you're like, I'll just let it be, because that's literally how long it takes. Oh my God, that's crazy, dude.
Right.
The Windows updates take forever. And it's not just Windows updates. It's Windows updates, Armory Crate updates, My Asus updates, and then there's a fourth thing.
The Windows Store.
The Windows
Xbox.
Store. Yeah, the Windows
Xbox
Store.
and
You
Game
got to
Bar.
update that too. Like it's 1,000 things. And, Rudy said it perfectly earlier. One place to update is what needs to happen once it's in a store. And Russ, you totally, you shook me out of my, I was just trying to be fair to them. But yeah, it's in a store.
Right.
I was just thinking, well, it's not that bad. As somebody who uses these things all the time, I'm fine. But it's in a store, and somebody is going to walk into a store and buy this thing. And I don't know what the update process is like. I know what our update process was like, because we bought it or got it ahead of time for review units. But when they do the first patch after that, are we going to have to go to 4 places to update? Am I going to have to go into desktop mode? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I will.
I mean, I had to do that on my Ally, because the Ally, I waited until after I did my review to even turn it on. So it was after launch, like a good week, and it was still just a huge pain. And I luckily knew where to go to do all those updates, right? But for a regular user, they're just going to be like, what is going on? I can't even use this thing for the first 2 hours. Like, why? So.
Yeah. And think about it from like an average consumer that does not pay attention to all of the stuff that we pay attention to, that walks into Best Buy and says, oh, there's a handheld Xbox, let's go, drops $500 or $600 or $1,000, whatever, comes home and it's just like, the heck is this? This is like my Windows laptop,
Yeah.
Like it just, again, I don't know. It's
they're like, I can't wait to play my 14,000 games, right? And then they get it and they're like, wait, only 4,000 games can be played. Like, that's just the biggest thing for me, is that you can't play all those console games. But yeah, I'm really worried about just kind of how this affected their brand. We got a lot of comments like 2 weeks ago or whatever, when we did our Ally discussion, where they're like, you guys just hate Microsoft. Where I was like, no, I love Xbox. Xbox is my console. It's always been my console since the 360 era. But it is kind of disappointing. I feel like it's like when you get to an age and you start to see your parents as frail human beings, and you're just like, oh, they make mistakes and all that stuff. That's where I feel like right now. It's just kind of like, oh, mom and dad aren't doing so hot. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel about Microsoft right now. It's like you see all the cracks, and once you get to the age of what your parents were at some point, you're like, wait, they were this age and I thought that they were gods. You know what I mean? I love my parents, by the way, but I'm just kind of going along the line of that kind of revelation of oh man, Microsoft, I want you to do better. I can see where this could be better, and this is what I want for you guys. And so we're hard on them, but it's a tough love.
You're not mad. You're disappointed.
Right.
I think that's the best way of putting it, man. Because I look at it and I'm just like, I want them to do better so that, everyone can have a good time. That's all I care about, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break from the news stories and talk about the games that we've been playing. Rudy, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so since the last time that we talked, I'm still on Silksong, but I'm heading towards Act 3. So anyone that has played Silksong, that knows everything that needs to happen before Act 3, you understand my struggle. But it is spoopy season, So I have been playing Chronos: The New Dawn, which is fantastic. I absolutely love it. It runs great on every single handheld that I've tried it on. If you like Dead Space, if you like Resident Evil from 4 on, if you like Silent Hill, this is a love letter to all of those games. Mechanically, aesthetically, it's just beautiful. Buy it, play it. It's good times.
Very cool.
It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to bring it up. Whoa, that's loud. I was trying to bring it up so I could put it on screen. So like, how long have you been playing it for? Like, how many hours in are you?
For Chronos,
for
I'm
Chronos.
roughly about, I think 6 or 7 hours. It's a short, I mean, it's like most horror games, it's a short game. So I haven't been rushing my way through it because I want to enjoy my time with it. I do know that there are a lot of like hidden secrets that are here. This is actually made by a Polish company called Bloober. They were in charge of the Silent Hill 2 remake game that came out on PlayStation. And I believe they were greenlit to remake the original Silent Hill. So they're also made Layers of Fear. I think what was it? Observer Redux, I think is one of the older games. So there's a lot, but as you can see, like on the video that's on screen, like that there is yellow paint on the boxes, guys. Just so you know, I know that there's some people that don't like the yellow paint, but it's there. Yeah, it's over the shoulder, limited ammo, tense situations, very, very, punchy, action-oriented, but there's a level of sci-fi that I personally love. That's like one of the main things that I loved about Dead Space. Like Dead Space was so freaking good. So if you like any of those games that I mentioned, like this is right up your alley.
Yeah,
I love that there's no UI.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah. Super clean. So I'm looking at it now and reading a bit about it. So it's like, so the enemies merge, right? So they merge into like bigger enemies. So you got to kill them before they merge. That's awesome. And then also there's a time travel like element to it. I guess like I kind of assumed from the word Chronos, right? But there's a time travel element where you're supposed to go back and uncover the origins of this apocalypse that happened, basically. That sounds really compelling to me. Like I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but when I do, it's got to be like a mystery box game or a movie, right? Where it's like, why is this like this? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, that's the mystery that I love about horror games or horror movies. And this feels like that. And so this is way more interesting to me than like Resident Evil, where it's like, am I going to survive or not? Like, not a big deal to me, right? But it's like, why am I here? Love it.
Yeah, and it's like you start off, and this is very, very early on in the game, but you start off replacing your predecessor. So you're kind of almost like, you're like, you're awoken from deep sleep, kind of like, freaking, oh my God, what was it? I forgot the name of the film, but Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes back in the day, he like gets...
Demolition Man.
Thank you. You guys are the best. You guys, yes. Thank you. So yeah, like phenomenal movie, and it's kind of like the same thing. Oh man, but it's literally that. Like you kind of like wake up and like this AI essentially like gives you like, this is your mission, this is where you have to go, and like you're kind of just like, okay, and you're thrown into this without knowing absolutely nothing. So it's awesome as you unravel like what happens in the story, but the tension is there, and like you have to manage enemies as you go, which is very, very cool, man. Like it's fun. Play it, please. It's good.
And it's got very positive reviews on Steam, and there's a demo, and it's 15% off right now.
Boom.
Ends November 4th. So what day is today? So today's the Halloween.
Today's Halloween, man.
And today, oh, good. So this show will come out before the 4th. So if you're thinking about it, you can pick it up for $50 right now instead of the regular $60. Oh, I like that it's not a $70 game. Good job,
man.
Bloober team.
Yeah.
Russ, what have you been playing, dude?
So more Ball X Pit. I've been playing that on like my Android handhelds because it runs really well, and so I'm still in love with this Thor, and so I've mostly been playing this where I've been kicking back, and it's Halloween season, so like I just mentioned like scary movies and stuff. Like this is a one time of the year where it's like I sit down, I watch a scary movie, and then also do Ball Pit at the same time. I kind of looking at both, and that's perfect for me because I get scared, pretty easily, and so this allows me to focus on the game when I get really freaked out, so that's kind of a fun little thing. But anyway, I was playing a lot of that. I'm still like just finished this second level, so I'm not very far in the game, but I'm just kind of I'm really slow rolling it on purpose because I'm enjoying that part of it. And then I also have been playing Absalom a little bit. So I basically bought it yesterday, tried to get it working on some handhelds. I did get it working on an Android handheld through Game Native, which is like one of those layer packages. So it's running great. I didn't play much of it, just basically the same that you play in the demo. So I don't have any new revelations other than it feels a lot smoother and plays better than it did on the demo time, just because it was kind of still a little bit buggy and sluggish. And so this feels smooth. It's good. I was planning on not buying it, for a while. I was going to wait for a sale, but I've just been hearing a lot of people being like, man, I'm playing so much of this and it's a lot deeper than you would think from a regular beat 'em up. And it's a $25 game. And I was like, $25 for a beat 'em up is a lot, but it sounds like there's a lot more to it. And so, I decided to pick it up. It looks beautiful, kind of that almost cell shaded look to it, almost cartoony. So I love that. It feels a bit like Streets of Rage 4, which is the same developer. And so, I'm liking it so far, but I do need to spend more time on it.
I will say the fact that
it
was made by Dotemu makes me want to buy it immediately because I loved Streets of Rage 4. They did such a great job on that game. I played so many hours of it. What were you going to say, Rudy?
Nothing. He just sold me on it because he said Streets of Rage 4, and I was just like, "What? Yes, please!" I absolutely love Streets of Rage 4, man. Like, and the style, everything. Does it also have online co-op and local co-op?
I didn't even look, but
Okay.
maybe. Yeah. Let's see. Single player
curious,
online co-op. Yeah.
Legit, man.
And
Okay.
split screen co-op. Yep.
Oh, that's so good. I might get that to play with my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Great.
fun. That'd be
It looks
fun.
deeper, like more RPG-esque, which I don't know. I feel like that's probably the right way to go. It probably improves in playability a lot.
Very cool. I picked up after our last episode. I ended up buying Slots and Daggers, which is it's like Balatro but with a slot machine instead of cards. And basically, when you play at the very beginning, you start out, you only have 3 slots, and then you choose 3 symbols, and then the things spin. You stop them spinning when you want, and then if a dagger comes up, you attack. If a chest or if a piece of gold comes up, you get some money. If a shield comes up, then you block, and then the enemy attacks you, and then you attack again. After you play through for a bit, you defeat the enemy, you go on to the next one, you do the same thing again, but between each round, you can buy new symbols for your slot machine, and they all have different ways to interact with each other. At the end of a run, and after you've lost, you go back to a shop, and you can buy upgrades to your slot machine that will give you things like extra slots. Instead of just having 3, you can have up to 5. You can have bonus damage, like bonus physical damage or bonus magic damage. And that means as you're playing, it's a roguelike. As you're playing, you are building your build as you play. And this game is so much fun. I sat and you're just spamming a button a bunch and then making decisions. I ended up having to switch to my leverless controller because I was just spamming the A button on my controller so much that like my thumb was starting to hurt. I was like, oh man, my thumb hurts. I was pushing too many buttons. I get a carpal tunnel. So I ended up switching to my leverless and just hitting it because it's arcade buttons. This game is so addictive and I can't stop playing it. It's the kind of game where once you start playing it, you are just sucked into it. I already have, I think, 8 hours into this game, and I don't have a lot of time to play games. I'm busy. So I don't know how I did it, but I'm having so much fun. Have either of you guys played it yet?
I haven't, but I'm buying it right now. So one thing is if you already own Ball Pit, you get an additional discount because it's bundled. So I can get it for $5 right now because it's also 30% off. It reminds me of kind of a mix, like you mentioned, kind of Balatro-esque. It reminds me a bit of like Hades in that you kind of choose your upgrades as you're going through. But it also reminds me of a mix between Puzzle Quest. I don't know if you guys ever played that one, where it's like you're kind of playing a match 3, but you're actually fighting somebody. So it kind of feels like that. and then also the bonus level game in Super Mario Brothers 2. Like the slot one, you know, where
right,
you're like, you know, so it's like, it's a perfect combo.
That was really good.
That's your favorite game.
So, yeah, exactly.
It's
So
the
that's
best
why I'm
one.
buying it right now. It's mostly the Mario thing, but yeah, super awesome.
I think you
That's
should,
pretty cool.
Russ, you should make a mod that plays that do sound at the beginning of each time you spin the slots.
Yeah,
I think
throwing a
people would
turnip or
download that
something.
like crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Rudy, have you played this or
No,
not yet?
man, but this looks so cool. I mean, Ball Pit's like another one that it's huge. It's absolutely humongous. And I've been kind of like looking at kind of like indies to just put in between huge titles to kind of like cleanse the palate a little bit. So this is definitely, I mean, I might as well just get the bundle because it's so cheap.
There was another, so like they had partnered, Slots and Daggers had also partnered with, what was the slot machine game that I talked about a couple weeks ago?
Clover
Not
Pit?
Cloverfield, Clover Pit. If
Cloverfield
you already
was good
own
too.
Clover Pit, there's like you can get it as a discount as well.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I think you can. Another thing that I really like about it is like there's like this vibe to it where like you will appreciate this, Rudy, because you're a videographer. Like the perspective of playing, if you go back and look at the gameplay again, is like you're looking down at your table, but they've dirtied up the lens. There's stuff around the outside that's like at a higher plane than where the gameplay is. And the whole thing is like you're looking down at the slot machine and you're moving just a little bit. And if you watch the gameplay again, you'll see it and you'll be like, there's something about that is just very satisfying. And I'm having so much fun with it.
I wanted to ask you guys while we were talking about indies. Do you guys like deck builder games?
Yeah. I don't love them.
So Russ
but
is like, no. But Bill's like, yeah. Have you ever played Inscription?
So yes, because I tried it on Xbox Game Pass and I played a little bit of it and it didn't grab my attention within the first 15 seconds. And so like I didn't give it enough of a chance to go back and really give it the old college try.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
I
enough.
fell
Fair
off
enough.
real fast, but that's mostly because I saw a shiny thing and went to go do that instead.
I also follow shiny things, so I totally understand where you're coming from. The only reason why I was interested was because the year that it came out, it was nominated for, I think it was Indie of the Year over at the Video Game Awards. So I was like, huh, like I had never heard of this. So I literally played it, I think it was the end of November. And I don't know, you could probably finish it in like 10 hours or something like that. But the twists and turns in the game were very interesting, where you play in first person in some instances, and it's very unique. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
So just as a confirmation, it does run great on Android devices too, at Game Native. So I just loaded it up. It's under 100 megabytes, so it's like a fast download too. So yeah, pretty cool that you can play it on this. This is exactly like why I love Game Native and Game Hub, is that you can just play these lightweight games, just install them and see if they work. And most of the time they do. This is crazy. And I feel like the more that these developers understand that people are playing like this, they're going to optimize it even more. And so it's going to be an even better experience in the future. So yeah, super happy to see that.
Awesome. We've just lost Russ for the rest of the game. He's going to be looking down at the table.
I can't play and talk, so I'm not tech weeb. So
Oh man,
that's what you say. That's what you want everybody to believe, is that you're not tech weeb. All right. Let's move on and go back and talk about this little game that I posted over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/nerdnest. Subscribe over there if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast player. And I said, hey, everybody, we're recording on Friday, so I thought that we'd play a little game called Underrated, Overrated, where put us on the spot for an answer. You make a statement, and then we will discuss if we agree or not. For example, MSI Claw is underrated, or Halo is overrated. And we've got a bunch of comments that came in. So I'm going to grab one, and then I'm going to ask these guys to find one and be ready to talk about them in a second. But I'm going to start us off with the top comment that says, couch co-op gaming is underrated. Why? more games should include this as an option. I'm going to say that I agree it's underrated, but I don't like it as the main way to play a game, because what happens is you need, especially for like a story-based game, you need both people to be equally invested in the game. And there's been plenty of times where I've tried to play a couch co-op game with my son, and like we're enjoying it, but then one of us doesn't want to play at that moment because we're busy doing something else, and then we inevitably leave it off. I really admire how both Carrie and Rich were able to go through. What were the games that Carrie and Rich were talking about? The ones where It Takes Two is one of them.
It Takes Two,
Split Fiction, and then there's a third one.
A Way Out.
Played those. They played A Way Out. They played those all the way through. I just know that would never happen in my situation, because either me or my son would get bored and want to play something else after a while. How do you guys feel? Russ, how do you feel about, is couch co-op underrated?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a different world nowadays where, used to have buddies and we would like get together to play and stuff, pre-online world and whatnot. And yeah, that was essential back then. But I can't really play any couch co-op now. My oldest son, not interested. My youngest son, I don't know. He might be interested in some games and whatnot, but I haven't really sat down with him to play any game together, And then my wife's got like terrible motion sickness, so she can only play puzzle games that don't have anything moving in the background. So my and I also live on an isolated island in the middle of the Pacific, so it's not like I can be like, hey, everybody, come over, So couch co-op for me is just a different paradigm than it was before. I think it is underrated. I think it is cool that they have these offerings, and I think that if I was back living in a dorm or something like that, it would be amazing, But just the environment I am as a 45-year-old dude, not really working for me.
What about you, Rudy?
It still blows my mind that you're 45. Like, like what the hell? Yeah, no. First off, let me just say that was the first question or the first statement that I saw, the first comment, and I was like, I 100% agree. As a dad that is currently playing Split Fiction right now with his son,
awesome.
Like right after finishing It Takes Two, like, yes, this is a phenomenal way of like experiencing games together. I do agree with you though, Bill, that it shouldn't be the main way to play. I think that it should be an option. And like, I mean, when I still have like my PlayStation multi-tap. Like I still have, all these things that I use to, like, part of the reason why I loved the GameCube was so much was because of how easy it was to have multiplayer games. Just boom, we can go ahead and play together, like all those like things. That's all nostalgic, obviously. And them youngins, they probably don't even know anything about that. They're all about playing online on Minecraft or whatever. But there's something that can be said. I'm going to jump in
real quick because you just reminded me of something that I want to make sure that I say. When the GameCube was out, there was a Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which required the use of the Game Boy Advance. And I had bought it, not realizing that. I had a Game Boy Advance, which was fine, but I bought it, brought it home, and I was like, oh, wow, this is weird. And I'm trying to play this game, and my friend comes over, he goes, oh, I read about this. And we're talking about it, and he goes, you know what? I want a Game Boy Advance. So we went to the store and bought a Game Boy Advance for him. Then we went back to my place, and we played it, and it was freaking cool. Yeah. And you just reminded me of that experience, and I just wanted to say it before I forgot. Go ahead.
Oh, dude, no. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from. Like, my son, when he started getting into video games, like I dusted off the GameCube and we were playing Four Swords together. Like, I have my sister's old Game Boy Advance. She doesn't play video games. Like, she doesn't care for it. But, she was like, here you go. Like, you can keep it, whatever. And we were playing that. There's like Animal Crossing New Horizons where there's like this thing where you connect the Game Boy Advance and then all of a sudden you get like access to Captain and he can take you to an island and everything. Things like that are like, I think that it's nice to have, but in terms of like couch co-op, having that where you can play with someone else, like it scratches a part of my lizard brain that, you know, is nice. It feels warm and fuzzy. And couch co-op. I mean, dude, look at Mario Kart World. Look at Mario Party. Like, yes, there's online functionality, but when I go to like someone's house and they have that going on, like some friendships might break, you know, because of the competitive side of me and everything, but we're going to have fun. And I think that's the important thing, man, is still having that functionality available to people.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I don't like sharing my screen. Like I like my view to take up the whole screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I play a split screen game, I'm always like, oh, I don't like this split screen.
You just need a bigger TV, man. That's it.
I just need two of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like Halo and Mario Kart, I think those are like huge defining couch co-op style games.
Yeah.
Just I like Halo 3 in particular. I remember playing through that with friends locally. Like you could do it online, I think too, but we mostly did it locally. It was great, you know. And then obviously like Mario Kart, all of them are just better with more people.
Yeah. Man. We used to have like LAN parties and everything when Halo 2 and Halo 3, like we would all get together like just outside of like the dorms and whatnot and just play all together. We'd bring like our computers and get everything set up, man. It's old school, but man, like those are memories that I don't think will ever be replaced by anything, at least in today's modern day and age.
Yeah. So Russ, go ahead and pick a topic from the list and we'll discuss it.
So this one's from Paul William George. Love the 3 first names. That's awesome. He said dual screen gaming is overrated. So as a person who's just not been able to put down my Thor lately, I can kind of get that. So I would say this is it's true and untrue for me personally. So dual screen gaming in general, like DS, 3DS, always have loved that, you know, like it's always a fun experience. But, you know, something like the Thor nowadays, which is like the big hotness, it's not necessarily like made for only those games. Like you can play everything on it. And I love the idea of playing one game up below or above and then having something going on down below, like pulling up a guide or, you know, I don't know, watching a YouTube video or something like that. And you know how many times I've done that since having this thing for like a month? 0 times. Like it's just not happening for me, right? I'm not doing it. And
he had me at the beginning.
so I get that, right? Like it's kind of like the idea of being able to pull up a guide for Earthbound while you're playing Earthbound sounds amazing. And I am just not going to do it. You know what I mean? And so I get that. Yes, it's a little bit overrated, but there are people who are going to do that. And I think it's cool. I mostly only have the second screen on this Thor for showing my stats, so I can look at like how much battery life I have or whatever, just on the fly. But then also like, yeah, obviously DS and 3DS in particular have been excellent on it. Overrated, not necessarily. I think that people just know what they're getting into when they're buying a dual screen handheld, and I think that people are really excited about it. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I would say I agree and disagree. You know, the other part about it is that somehow people have lost their minds and have forgotten that ergonomics on a dual screen handheld are not great. And it's funny, like you have so much less space to work with, right? You got like this much space to put your hands, you know, on each side. That's not enough space. And pick up a DS or a 3DS and you can kind of feel that squarishness, you know, compared again to something that's a lot more comfortable and got the ergonomics and whatnot. So I can see that side of things as well. But man, there's a lot of copium happening on Reddit and stuff. We're like, oh, no, it's absolutely fine. I'm playing it. I've had it for 10 minutes now and it's perfect, right? I'm like, okay, call me in 2 weeks and let's talk, you know, and then also like put a Steam Deck in your hands in that time between and kind of feel that difference. So dual screen gaming is overrated, maybe right now because people are just really hyped up about the prospects of it. But let's check back in 6 months and see how people are going with it.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of really cool experiences that Nintendo gave us on the DS and the 3DS. And those were experiences that wouldn't have ever worked if it weren't a dual screen thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of the games that were on those systems, though, they didn't need 2 screens. And so, like, they did the stupid thing where, like, there's a map on the bottom or there's your inventory on the bottom, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I would have preferred they just shut off the bottom screen if they're not going to use it usefully. You know what I mean? But when you are in a handheld, I don't think it's overrated. But the Wii U, as much as I loved that system, and it was a really good system, the dual screen games were terrible. The games where I was just playing on one screen while my kids were watching TV on something else, or watching TV, that was awesome. The games where I was playing on the big TV and I had the handheld portion charging, that was awesome too. Anytime I tried to play something where I had to look up and then look down and then look up and look down, it was a terrible experience. So I think dual screen gaming is overrated when it comes to TVs. But when it comes to a handheld, I don't think so. Rudy?
You literally nailed it, man. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking, because when it came to the Wii U, there were a lot of games that in theory would have worked really well, but in execution, there was a disconnection that was there. And because if you have your, I don't even know where I put my unit, but when you have your Thor and you're looking at it, you can see everything more or less, even if you're just focusing on one screen because of the peripheral vision that you have going on. I think that, I don't think that they're overrated at all. I think that, especially in that era of Nintendo, the Wii U was a failure. We all know that. And because of that, they had to get creative with their software, with their IP, in order to embrace this tech so that they can go ahead and sell as many units as they can. Because if the unit isn't selling, you have to create something that's first party that will sell the unit for you, right? So I think that some of the most creative and genuinely fantastic titles came out in that era. In my opinion, most of them ended up on the 3DS and the DS versus the Wii U. But that's just my opinion. And I will gladly take a dual screen device that can play those and emulate them very well in comparison to a single screen device where I have to push a hotkey to swap from one screen to the other any day of the week.
Or you lose half your screen resolution because you got a little window down here and then a giant black box up here. That's always
which I'm not a fan of at all. I'm not a fan of that at all. I wouldn't do that.
All right. Okay. Did you pick one, Rudy?
Man, I feel so bad because Paul William George is like, I was like scrolling through and that like stood out. And then like Russ said, oh, well, Paul William George, blah, blah, blah. But the guy said remakes / remasters are overrated. Now, here's the thing. Here's the deal. First and foremost, remakes and remasters are two different things. Let's get that out of the way. A remake and a remaster are very different. A remaster is something like Skyward Sword. That was a remaster. Metroid Prime, that was a remaster. But Resident Evil 4, that's a full-on remake. They took the vision that was there and like remade all of the assets and remade so much into a brand new experience. Now, here's the thing with this. In my opinion, games that came out that were 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit, those titles did not have the processing power to allow the developers as well as the designers to really, truly enact the vision that they had for those titles. Now, with the amount of horsepower that we have with modern hardware, we are finally able to execute that vision in reality. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to these remakes, because there are some instances when a game is remade and it is freaking fantastic all up and down. And even some remasters. Bill, I think we talked about this, about oh my God.
Metroid?
The Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus for me is one of my favorite games of all time. I own every single copy that came out off every single platform. And the PlayStation 4 Blue Point Games remake, because it is a remake, is fantastic. With the only one thing that they added was like kind of like an Easter egg near the end of the game. That is a prime example of taking something that is old, bringing it forward, and just slapping on a fresh coat of paint with some additional tweaks in mechanics. I don't think that they like. To me, it's a two-prong approach. One is that there's nostalgia that's there for us older people that have been playing games for a long time, but there's also, some games that I grew up in not a financially well-off family, growing up, and because of that, I did not have access to a lot of titles. Emulation is great because I can emulate some of these titles that I didn't have access to as a kid, but now if a studio is like, hey, we're going to remake this, now it's like, great. All of a sudden, I can play the game that I never played in my childhood on modern hardware and be able to experience it as the developer intended as well. There's just so many pros and cons to this, but I believe that there are more pros than cons when it comes to remakes and remasters as a whole, as a category. So I disagree.
What do you think, Russ?
I'm aligned with Rudy here. I think that there's a lot of factors to it. Do I have to pay for it all over again is a thing, like The Last of Us, like how many times we got to pay for those games, like that's one for me that just feels like it kind of soured the idea of it. But then you have something like the Dragon Quest HD 2D remakes, and it's like, those are awesome. And I paid full price for them. I just got 1 and 2 in the mail from Best Buy the other day. I pre-ordered it like 6 months ago and it finally arrived. And it was just like a happy thing where I like opened up my mail and I was like, hey, look at this game. Like I have so many fond memories of Dragon Warrior when it first came out. It's like the first RPG I ever played. And the cool thing is this new remake modernizes it so that I can play it on all sorts of stuff, including my Switch. But it doesn't, like, the first one still exists and I can still play that one. And so it's like, it's just an additive thing. It's not taking away anything, and I think maybe this comment might have been inspired by the new Halo Combat Evolved like remake thing that they're making. I get it. People are picking it apart and be like, oh, look at this sand. It doesn't look as good. Or, look at how beautiful the original was and stuff. Let's give it a shot. Like I can still go back and play the original. I think Master Chief Collection did an amazing job where you can swap between the two. Like that was so cool, Those still exist. And this new one is a new one in its own way. And, hopefully it's at an affordable price point because I don't want to pay $70 to play that game again. The ideal would be like how they did Quake 2, where they were just like, last year, they were like, hey, do you already own Quake 2? Cool. Here's a better version of it, right? Where it's like you can still play the original, but you still have access to this new one. Doom 1 and 2, they did that earlier this year. That's awesome. The way to do it, I think. Yeah, exactly. And so I agree that I don't think it's overrated. It just really depends on the game and how much you got to pay for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I will say, when I went through and replayed Metroid Prime, the remaster, that was just awesome. And it was so much better to be able to play that on modern hardware than it was to, jump through emulation hoops. Obviously, I could have emulated it, but I was able to pay money to not have to jump through hoops and figure things out, especially because Nintendo's weird controllers, so they did all of that work for me, and that just made it awesome. Rudy was talking about playing games that you missed out on. I never played the original Halo back in the day, but when the Master Chief Collection came out and I could play Halo 1, and I had an awesome experience of, like, I was doing a live stream of it and I'd never played Halo before, and I was playing and they were like, hey, push this button. So I pushed the button and it went to the old graphics and I just lost it. I was laughing at how hideous the freaking game was. I went back to the new graphics very quickly. And that's a game I don't think I would have gone back and played. I have lots of nostalgia for 2D games. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for 3D games because they always look so bad. Because they don't, like, the art doesn't hold up. You know what I mean? Like, you go back and, like, in the background right now, you guys can see I've got Metal Gear Solid 2 playing on my TV. And, well, I don't know if the people can see it because of the way I have things laid out, but it's on my TV. But that game's ugly. It's an ugly game. Because it was beautiful at the time, but it just doesn't hold up. And so
are you saying that because it's a Hideo Kojima game, by the way?
No.
I'm just messing with you.
I totally get what you're saying because I'm not a huge fan of his, but most PS1 games were hideous. PS2
it was a launch title for PS2, right? Or no?
Yeah,
PS2.
I forget.
Well,
it was okay.
Anything past the Super Nintendo, as soon as we go into 3D, they tried to go for realism, and everything would always fall apart. It looked amazing until you looked back 1 year later and you're like, whoa, look at those games. They're hideous. We used to think this was good. There's some charm to 2D games where 3D games kind of lack that, I feel like. Anyway,
I agree.
I think that remasters are not overrated. I love that, we get to experience these things again. And like Russ said, you can always go back and play the original if you don't like what they've done to it. Doesn't erase the original from existence, unless they do, which they have done in the past, where they update a game and now you can't play the original game. That sucks.
Agreed.
Russ, you want to pick a category?
Yeah, I got another one. So this is from a guy named Twilight. And it says the Metal Gear Solid franchise as a whole is overrated. So I was already thinking about this because I saw it in the background for you. And I wanted to talk about this with Rudy in particular because we've talked about Metal Gear Solid in person before. Yeah. Rudy actually bought me Nier Automata like as a gift after we had this conversation. Basically, and the way he sold it on me to try was like, it's like a Hideo Kojima game. It's like Metal Gear Solid. And I was like, all right. I still got to come back to it. I'm only like 4 hours into it, but still. So as a whole, overrated. So I got two minds of it. Number one, if you tried to go back and play all the games right now, it's a little rough. Like I can see it being a bit overrated right now. Trying to play Guns of the Patriots, which is like the PS3 Metal Gear Solid 4, right? There's so many cutscenes. It is so much. It is difficult to go through. I just replayed through Metal Gear Solid Delta, and played through that. And it was a little rough, even with these modern like kind of aesthetics to it. But at the time, absolutely not. Like I do not think they were overrated. When you played them in the moment where that's the best, like Metal Gear Solid 2, that's the best that we could expect at the time in terms of graphics. It looked amazing at the time. So I don't like those little time capsules for me, not overrated at all. Nowadays, I can see that. Like, it's really hard for me to recommend, hey, Bill, go play Metal Gear Solid 2. You're going to love it, right? Like, it's a little rough right now. You know what I mean? But if they make a remake, who knows, But yeah, that's kind of my take on it, is that both yes and no. If I had to decide on one, because we're living in 2025, I would agree and say it's a little bit overrated today.
What about you, Rudy?
Dude, I mean, that's like I will.
I like that.
I mean, listen. Metal Gear Solid, the first Metal Gear Solid that I ever played was VR Missions, which was over at my friend's house, which not many people know about. But that was one of the ones that I like tried out, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. But I never owned it. I ended up the first like full true experience was Twin Snakes. I will say that that is a commitment that you have to make to play these games. And before I get deeper, Russ, I wanted to ask you, man, did you play Death Stranding 1 or 2 by any chance?
I played a few hours of Death Stranding 1. Once I got to like the teeter-tottering walking, I was like, all right, I am like I'm paying to work right now. It's kind of the way,
Yeah.
I don't like games where I do that, where it's like I feel like I am paying to work, and so yeah, I kind of dropped off on that one. But I was intrigued by the story and the characters and stuff.
Gotcha. So the reason why I asked that is because the first time that I tried playing it was on PlayStation, because I was like, hey, this is a PlayStation 1 game, or PlayStation 5, excuse me. Hideo Kojima's here. Like, this is going to be good. So I gave it a go. And then I dropped it very quickly. Then I got the Steam Deck. And that was the first game that I ever finished on the Steam Deck. And I absolutely freaking adored it. This thing it's such a fantastic game. And it plays a lot more like Metal Gear Solid later on in the game, the more that you play. Which kind of, there's the stealth mechanics that are in there as well, the crazy Hideo Kojima writing and storytelling that we all know. But yeah, so I ended up like loving it. But Death Stranding 2 is out. I haven't touched it. I'm waiting for a PC release. That being said, when it comes to Hideo Kojima games, I think you have to think of it from a gameplay perspective is one thing, because there are really good mechanics that are put in place, especially if you like stealth games. But the storytelling, the cinematography, everything that Hideo Kojima puts in these games are from the cinema side of things. So like me, as like somebody that works, in film and photography, I love it. Oh my God, I will like ooze over this stuff. But it is a hard pill to swallow for some people. And that's fine. Like Bill and I, we had this whole conversation a few podcasts ago about all this stuff, because if it doesn't rub you the right way, then that's okay. I mean, but I love it. I will, grab myself, a thing of popcorn, start off MGS4 and like let the intro roll for 45, 50 minutes before I start playing.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know, man.
I'm going to abstain from answering because I've only played about a couple of hours of
like,
Metal
no.
Gear Solid Delta, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this. So
Yeah.
it was not for me, but I didn't play very much of it, so I can't really say if it's overrated or not. I didn't get that far into it. I gave up too quick, which was irritating because it was a $70 purchase. You know?
To be honest, though, that is a game that doesn't really get better. Like, it's just like what you get in the first hour of that game is about what you would get in the last hour too. Like, there's a little bit of an uptick. I think that some of the other games do get better. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 is a game for me that really picks up as you play it more. Metal Gear Solid 5, I don't think doesn't even get good until you've played it for about 6 hours. So, yeah, but if you didn't jump into Delta and latch on right in the beginning, you're not missing out on a ton, I would say, because it is kind of more of the same once you get further into it.
Russ, did you play Revengeance?
No, I never played Revengeance. I didn't play the PSP ones, but I played everything else, and I played them around the time of launch at the time for all of them too.
Gotcha.
So VR Missions was the second disc for Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1. I hated that, man. That was like, why am I going to play my least favorite part of the whole game? As the game. Like, that's what I felt with that, because I didn't really enjoy the stealth at the time. I really just like the story and just kind of this huge John Woo style, like, kind of feeling when you're playing those games.
I remember when I was playing through VR Missions, at the time I was playing Siphon Filter, and then eventually Splinter Cell was kind of like the next, stealthy game that was out there, which they just released them on Steam recently. So I definitely want to pick those up too. But
Splinter Cell's the ones with the three things, right? He's got the goggles. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, man. Same. And I've been hoping that they would release something else. It's been so long, but nothing. So I don't know.
The last one that I played was, I don't know how many there are, but the last one that I played was the one where it had a multiplayer aspect to it.
Double agent?
Where you could either be you would be three soldiers against one spy or something like that.
That was that wasn't Double Agent. That was something else.
It was really fun though. It was that was a really good game, and that's what I thought that I was going to get from Metal Gear, and I didn't feel like I got that. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe it was Chaos Theory.
I'll just pretend to say yes.
I don't know any of them.
You're just like, no. I'm
Googling.
Yeah, maybe it was Chaos Theory. I don't know, but there was because I was playing mainly on GameCube at the time, and then inevitably, I think there was some Xbox exclusives as well.
This was on PC
I'd never
because
owned
we
an
played
Xbox.
it on LAN.
Oh, then yeah, maybe that was Chaos Theory. Maybe, I don't know. There's so many.
Yeah,
I miss it.
All right, we'll do two more underrated, overrated things. I've got one here from Emerica with a lot of twos after it, so the sequel. And they said, streaming from a local gaming PC to play heavier games is underrated. How often do you guys do that? Because I never do it. I know I can, but I never actually remember to do that. I'm like, this game's not going to run on my insert the handheld of choice here. And then I'll go over and sit on the couch and play instead. Russ, how often do you do that?
I have to really be into the game. So I did that with Final Fantasy 16. This is about a year ago at this point, with the Odin 2 Portal, because that one got really low decoding time, and so I was able to just basically play it like it felt like native, because that is kind of all the Final Fantasies, that one feels like the fast twitchiest of all of them, and so so that was a good mix for me. But then I fell off almost immediately after that because I started playing what's the name? Expedition 33. Where I was like, okay, this is too fast twitchy. I cannot stream this one, right? And so then I had to go back, play it natively, and I played that on my, I don't know what I played. I think I played on my Asus tablet, the one that has the Strix Halo on it. And so that's what I ended up playing on, because I had to play it natively or locally. But yeah, I think it is underrated because there's not enough people doing it. I really do enjoy it. I do use it from time to time. I've been doing, I have this whole setup. We moved into a new house maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, and I got really kind of narrow focused, where I was like, all right, we are going to have a movie TV and we were going to have a gaming TV because we had like 2 rooms that would work well for that, right? And like all gaming consoles on this one, it's got this huge entertainment center, everything's hooked up. The other one, nothing but an Apple TV. I was like, I want this to be super clean. This is the room that people see when they walk in the house, right? That did not last long. I basically got I had my NVIDIA Shield, and I was like, all right, let me hook that one up too, and then I'll stream from my other gaming TV.
Kids were going to be the ones that did it. It was you?
That was me.
Oh, it's so weak. Because
I was like,
go ahead.
I like this couch, and I want to play a game right now. Like, that's what it came down to, right? And so yeah, I took my NVIDIA Shield, I put it over there, and then I'm streaming from one TV to the other TV because I don't want to sit on that other couch while I'm playing, and it's like, that was kind of cool. Like, it's fun, and I couldn't tell like a difference between playing the two like that. And so I played a little bit like that as well. Nothing crazy. I think it was like Nier Automata, like something that wasn't super like action oriented, and that worked really well for me. But yeah, I think the whole idea is really underrated because you've got this idea of being able to play on other devices, other TVs and stuff. And I think it's pretty cool.
Are you using the default Steam software, or do you use like Moonlight and Sunshine or Apollo and Artemis or whatever the other ones are?
Yeah, when I can, Apollo and Artemis, and so I'm running Apollo on my host PC. And then depending on what I can use on like in NVIDIA, I think only can use Moonlight, not Artemis. And so I run Moonlight on that. But then, yeah, if I can, I'll run Artemis on my handhelds just because that has a couple tweaks, especially for Snapdragon chips, where you can reduce the decoding time even more. So on the Conquer Pocket Fit, so that's this guy right here, like it's kind of a mid-range. Yeah. So awesome. This guy has the Snapdragon G3 Gen 3 in it, and it works with Artemis with that decoding kind of tweak. And so you put in that experimental setting, and it's 0.2 milliseconds decoding time on average. It's ridiculous. It's great. It's just like playing natively. It's insane. And so, yeah, I think it is a little bit overrated or underrated in that not enough people are using it.
What about you, Rudy? Do you do the streaming, or do you just play natively?
I try to play natively as much as I can, but I have streamed, especially with the release of Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, I was trying to play that on like any sort of handheld. None of them could handle it. There just wasn't enough VRAM. There was like nothing. So I was like, all right, just grab my Steam Deck, started streaming to it, and high settings, no RTX. Well, my 3080 would like melt. But yeah, I was playing that, and I was like, wow, it was my first experience actually using the Steam Deck as a streaming device. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty smooth. Like, for those that haven't played Monster Hunter anything, like typically the inputs are very I'm a great sword user, so it's a very like slow and methodical, and when you commit to a move, to an attack, it takes a while for it to actually like hit whatever it is that you're going for. So if you mess up, you're going to get punished within the game. So you kind of have to take your time and be very methodical with your actions. I haven't tried it with any sort of like action games per se. Like Expedition 33, I think would be a really good example to just kind of like see how it feels, especially in the later portions of the game. I still haven't finished it, by the way, Bill, since we like talked last, because I finished the main story, but there's like a bunch of like side stuff and everything. And like near the end, like all you can do is parry with some of like the boss fights that are there. You cannot take any damage at all because it literally resets a health bar. It's a lot. So yeah, I think it's definitely underrated. I think I will say that like there are so many things and so many technologies that are put in place with handhelds that allow for a smoother experience while playing in handheld. And unfortunately, there's just not enough juice in most of the handhelds that are out there, aside from the GPD Win 5 that just came out, or that is coming out, that you might as well just stream to it. And the little bit of input latency that is there is minuscule. So I think it's worth it. It's just underrated by far.
Especially because and I agree with both of you, it's underrated, even though I never think to use it. The fact of the matter is you are streaming, you're not streaming 4K to these things because it doesn't go up to 4K. So like the highest that you would need to stream is like 800p, and you can go double that or whatever, and it'll look really, really good. But the signal that is coming to you is like 800p, and so there's not a lot of bandwidth required to send that over a local network. And it just makes it so that you don't have to play these games on a TV or be trapped at your desk, which is the worst possible way to game, in my opinion, is sitting at a desk. So I love it. I just never think to use it. But then again, I don't have a computer at my desk. When I'm at my desk, I'm working, and when I go to play a game, I'm always on the couch, and it's either with a handheld or with the game up on the TV instead. Rudy, you want to pick our final topic?
Yes. My God, this is so bad. So I think it's von Lichtenstein. They said, what feels like my hottest take in gaming, Fromsoft is overrated. I've tried to get into 4 or 5 of them and just don't get the appeal. Clunky controls, bleak, unimaginative writing, and generation-old visual tech and with bad performance. So, wow. Straight off, I disagree wholeheartedly with a big asterisk next to it, because if a game doesn't vibe with you, then a game doesn't vibe with you. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But just because the majority of the people that want to go ahead and play for it does not mean that it is overrated. I think, Bill, we talked about this, that the first Souls games that I ever played was Demon Souls, and I literally bought copies for my friends because I was like, dude, you have to experience this. This is a game that is not holding your hand during the PS3, Xbox 360 era, which at the time, every game was holding your hand. Every game was like a QTE, and that was that.
And Brown.
And Brown. Yes, Brown. Oh my God. But I disagree in terms of clunky controls, as well as bleak, unimaginative writing and generation-old visual tech. Well, that generation-old visual tech I do agree with, but you don't play those games for that. It's like Monster Hunter. You don't play them for the story. You don't play them for the visuals. You play them for the gameplay loop that is there. And the gameplay loop is fantastic.
Somebody tell Capcom so that they can make Monster Hunter Wilds run on something that isn't a supercomputer. Anyway.
But dude, you know why it's like that though, right?
Why?
It's because of the engine. The engine that they use. It's the RE engine that is designed for very tight, small corridors. When you take an engine that is used to managing a small corridor and, hey, all of a sudden you have an open world, all of a sudden there's all these things that have to be like managed in an engine that is not designed for that. Therefore, it runs like poop.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter Rise ran like a dream. And I know it was not an open area, but then just don't make it open area. Stick with what makes Monster Hunter.
I agree.
Even though I still liked Wilds. I had a lot of fun with Wilds. It just ran like shit. Anyway, I agree with you. I agree with them.
But no, so one of the things that I will say about these stories is that the way that From Software stories are told, aside from a few select titles, are literally by reading the item descriptions, understanding, like there is some lore that is there, and like George R.R. Martin, like being part of Elden Ring, did add a crap ton of lore. But the problem is that it almost is like, hey, unless you get every single item, and unless you read every description in every single item, you won't really understand everything that's going on. And that's why I say, it might not be the game for you. And this is one of those games, like all of their Souls games, that you play it, you beat it, and you watch I think it's the content creator's Vati Vidya, that you like watch one of his videos where he like does like a whole like video essay describing everything that happens through all of like the scenes and scenarios and whatnot. But the lore is rich, the lore is deep, and the storytelling is not the best. It kind of reminds me of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, do you guys remember like playing that? And like, unless you got all of the memories and everything that like happened throughout the game, like it almost felt incomplete because you didn't understand what was happening. And then if you got a memory that was later on in the storytelling of all the memories, you were kind of confused and lost in terms of why this was happening here, and then you really didn't understand unless the whole picture was there. It's kind of like that. So I disagree, but I also understand why they think it's overrated.
When I look at it, I don't agree with the clunky controls. I think the controls are pretty precise, even if they're not my favorite control style. The unimaginative writing, I don't have an opinion on that because I could not care less about the story in those games. I'm just there to try and fight a thing and then see if I die, and usually give up after a while and never play the game again. The thing that you said about Breath of the Wild and the memories, the thing that these open world kind of games like Elden Ring and Zelda have in common is that the story, yes, there is a story, and you can go and get that story if you want, either by finding the memories in Zelda or reading the item descriptions in Elden Ring. But the story is what happens to your character. First, I went over to this location and I fought a guy that had this thing growing out of his head. And then I went over here to the desert and I did this thing. And like, that's the story of the Zelda games. That's the story of Elden Ring. It's just, what did you do? It's not about what story was given to you. You are creating the story as you go. Most people just don't think of it like that because they want the lore. They want a predetermined lore. And so, you know, George R. R. Martin writes his predetermined lore. You read it. In Zelda, they give you like these little cutscenes, but none of those are important to the story that you're actually playing. That's how I feel about it. As far as whether or not FromSoft is overrated, I don't know. Like, most of their games are not for me. And I kind of agree with Rudy. Like, he loves those games. I don't love those games. I've played Elden Ring. I probably have 30 hours in Elden Ring. And I did enjoy it. But I got 200 hours in Tears of the Kingdom, and I think that that is a much, much better game. Might not be what everybody else wants, but it's the kind of game that I wanted. Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about whether or not you need to, like, going back to like the lore and the story and stuff. It's about finding the story versus having it presented to you, you know. And I'm the kind of guy, I like it presented to me for the most part, you know. A little bit of elements of finding is good, you know. Like I didn't mind the whole memories thing in Breath of the Wild. I think that was neat. But yeah, for me, the Dark Souls games are or Souls-like games are difficult. Like, you know, it's hard for me to play them just because I'm not that good of a gamer, and so there's a big barrier for me where I just can't really get into it, you know. So like the closest I've ever come to a game like that is like the Jedi Survivor games, because they have those same mechanics to them, but they've got difficulty sliders, makes it a lot easier for me. So like that's like that's my speed, right? And I maybe have a different approach than other people. Like, it feels like to me, Elden Ring and all those is just a series of boss fights over and over again, right? And that is like a huge turnoff for me. Like, I never played Shadow of the Colossus. Like, I've tried, you know. I never played like the Black Myth Wukong, you know, which I know has a lot of boss fights and stuff. To me, a boss fight is like I gotta beat this guy so I can get back to my game. And where other people are like, this is the game, right? And so I agree. I'm not like the target audience for that. But yeah, I totally respect it. I don't know if it's overrated. I think it's just you know, we're living in a sea of riches right now where there's just so many different types of games and whatnot to choose from. And it may not be like a good fit for you. And I recognize that. And I still appreciate and respect Elden Ring. I went over to the Vati Vidya YouTube as you guys were talking about it. I was like, oh, let me watch the Elden Ring video and see what this is all about, right? The guy's got 388 videos, and they're like, oh, here's the lore of this one character. It's 45-minute long video. So I would love to watch like one video about Elden Ring, but I don't know about all this. So if anybody's got like a good recap of what's going on in this, put it like in the description of this video. I'll go check the comments later, or not the description, in the comments. And then, yeah, because I'm kind of interested. I want to know that story, especially if George R. R. Martin was involved, you know. But I'm not watching 388 videos. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, man.
I think
there's an overall one. I can send it to you, man. There's Russ. There's one that he kind of like covers like the overall like arching story that that was released like very early on. I'll send you the link, man. I'll post it in the comments once this thing is live. Because like honestly, there is a lot of lore that I missed out on because I didn't like the world's so massive. You're not gonna get everything. I'm not gonna get what is it like all the achievements in that game. It's just too much of a dedication. I think. The reason why I love those games is because I'm stubborn. So I when it comes to like boss fights and stuff, like I definitely want to like give it my all. But there's almost like the two Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, that there's like a sense of discovery that is there. And there are places that are very clearly marked as, hey, this is a dungeon. If you want to go that way, by all means, go that way. If not, turn around, take a left, take a right, do whatever you want. And I think that's the beauty of at least Elden Ring, for example. Bloodborne is another one that I highly recommend if there's any sort of people that are like Victorian fans that like that, you know, almost Cthulhu stuff. But yeah, I think it really just depends on what you want. If you want a From Software game that actually gives you a story up front and presents it to you adequately without any issues or reading any sort of lore, then you would want to check out Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. But it's also arguably one of the hardest games ever, ever, unless you're good at parrying. But
you got to be really good at parrying.
Really good. But
I think the furthest that I got in that game was the one where the guy was on the horse.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly who you're talking about. And he goes around you. Yep.
Man,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I beat him once and then I never played again.
But it's a game where you level up as a gamer because the skills that you unlock in your leveling up tree are trivial. They don't do much of anything. You level up as a gamer as you learn the steps and patterns that characters have, man. That's what excites me. Like, I'm just like, yes, I want to be able to like triumphantly go over this. That's also why I like Silksong. So I don't know, man. I just like video games overall. Like, give me a video game, I'll try it out. Ball Pit's on my list. So yeah, I just like having fun.
You know, the other day, so Rudy and I think all three of us are like Steam friends, right? And I don't know how to turn this off, but I get all those notifications when someone's playing a game, right? And it's usually Carrie. And it's like, oh, Carrie's playing Celeste again. Carrie's playing Returnal again. He's not playing these games. He's just running a benchmarking. Right?
Yeah.
And so Rudy kept coming up, and I was like, oh man, this guy keeps benchmarking Silksong. Like, why is he doing this? But no, he's just playing the game. You know, like it's funny that most of my Steam friends are like YouTubers, and they're all benchmarking, except for Rudy. Rudy's actually playing those games. That's awesome.
I actually play the games that actually have fun.
Russ sent me a nasty gram one day because I had played Celeste originally on Google Stadia. Like that was how I played it, and then I had it in my Steam library, but I booted it up, and then I get a message about 15 minutes later. Was a screenshot that said that Bill played Celeste for the first time, and he was like, "What the hell, man?" I was like, "Well, sorry."
Oh man, good times.
And guess what? I was benchmarking. Or I was trying out a new controller or something. I can't remember what. I wasn't actually playing the game. I was just testing something.
Oh man, good times. Yeah. Good times.
All right, let's wrap this show up. Rudy's got to go get some makeup on and catch some candy out there. Russ, tell everybody where they can find all of your stuff and what are you working on next?
So I'm over at Retro Game Core, CORPS. I did 4 videos already this week, but I'm working on a 5th. I'm going to try to do 5 videos this week. So I got the MCON controller thing.
Nice.
Attachment for your phone. So Josh sent this over, and, you know, it's got the thing where you can pop it up, and then you got a whole controller going on. So, I got to do a video on this. I already did like a impressions video of like his first prototype. So I have that still. So I'm going to like compare it because he also sent me the second prototype, the one he had at CES. So I've got 3 stages of basically the development of this controller. It's good. It is, you know, it's kind of thick, you know, it's like about phone thickness, maybe even more. And then it's a little bit heavier too. It's about phone weight. So it almost is just like a second phone that you would have that you can then turn into a controller. So I'll do a video on that. It's got like these, you know, things you can pop out so you can hold it like with an actual grip. And so, you know, kind of neat. And you can definitely play games like that. So that's my next video. I'm trying to push and have this out by Sunday, but we'll see. It might be a Monday release.
I want to see more Android handhelds that have those little wings.
Yeah.
Because they look like it makes it easier to hold on to. Rudy, what are you working on, man? Where can people find it?
I am at Baldly, BALDLY, Rudy, RUDY, everywhere. I am currently, I actually just finished before I like met up and did this. I finished filming a roll for like an Xbox. Hey, these are like the tips and tricks that you should do to have a smoother gaming experience video. But the next thing that I need to do is yesterday I got an AYN Thor. That got sent to me. I was like, hey, like, am I getting a review unit of this? And they're like, oh, sure. And they just sent me one, so I got that yesterday, and now I have to like do that. But yeah, no. Aside from that, I'm trying to balance life and work because right now it's busy season. So I'm caffeinated, like I said.
Well, glad to have you on the show again. It was a good chat, and you guys who are watching, you could have spent anywhere for the last hour 50, but you hung out with us. I appreciate it. Stay rad, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.